Mike Jones with Variety. So tell us a little bit about your film. Tell us what it's about.
The film is, well, it's about kids and money, and it all takes place in Los Angeles, and it's a conversation with kids from very different backgrounds, some with lots of money, some with no money, talking about kind of how consumerism affects them and plays into their lives, into their relationships with friends, with family.
So how did you come to this idea to do this?
It really grew out. I'm a still photographer. I've been a photographer for 15 years, and this is just my second film. My first was here 2 years ago. It was called Thin. And my work in my photography has looked at these issues for a long time. My first book, Fast Forward, was about how kids grow up quickly in Los Angeles and how they're affected by the culture of materialism.
It's a great book.
Oh, thank you. And so it was kind of a chance to go back in video to the themes of that book. In fact, one of the girls in that book, Phoebe, was 3 when I photographed her in Fast Forward, and she comes back in Kids and Money at 16.
Really? Wow.
So for me, it was a chance, and I grew up in LA, so it was a chance to kind of re-explore those issues in this newfound medium for me, which was film.
So what surprised you between the kids with money and kids without money?
Well, I mean, I guess I suspected going in that kids were very affected by consumerism, but what surprised me were kind of the things that just came out. Like, well, in the beginning of the film, one girl starts off saying that she thinks it's really inappropriate that some girls buy 4-digit clothes to wear to school. And she said, but when we're talking about a purse, it is appropriate to spend 4 digits. So it's kind of like the level that people talked about. And then, of course, it's always surprising. I saw this in Fast Forward, but even more in Kids and Money, to see the extent to which kids without money will go to get things, whether it's their own sacrifice or the sacrifice of their parents. How important things are to people.
Yeah. What were some of those sacrifices?
There's one, Annika, who's a 12-year-old who really loves clothes, and her mom talks about how she struggled with money, but how she spent so much for one tank top because when she saw it on her daughter, she just wanted her to have it. And I think that
it's difficult to laugh, but sometimes the absurdity just makes you laugh, and sometimes it's rather sad. It would seem.
Yeah, I mean the film is very much the
on
tone.
both sides.
Yeah, the film is kind of the tone of Fast Forward in that it's a lot of the situations are kind of humorous, but it is a really serious subject, and it's about self-esteem, and it's about body image, and it's about how advertisers really feed off the insecurity of young people growing up, kind of looking for their identities, and this is how they make them.
So talk about transitioning between still photographer and filmmaker. Do you have to change brains?
There's some things that come really naturally because it's all about documentary storytelling, and there's a lot. I mean, my kind of strength as a photographer has always been access with people and relationships with people, and that is a very natural transition to the same role as a documentary director. Technically, film is a lot more complicated. It's also a lot more collaborative, which has been the part that I've really liked. I mean, the fun thing for me is being able to step back from the camera, to work with a DP, to work with a composer, to work with graphic artists, and to kind of, it's like this great privilege to have this talent working for your vision. So that's really exciting.
Is your film part of the iTunes initiative that Sundance is?
No, it's not. It's actually going to be broadcast on HBO.
Okay.
And we're going to work on an educational curriculum too, to kind of go into schools and so parents have.
When does it stream on HBO?
Later this year.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming by.
Oh, thanks for having me.
That was great. I'm a big fan of your book. It was like.